Welcome to Zimbabwe, welcome to ICASA, an ensemble of traditional dance groups hailing out of Zimbabwe to welcome us all to this prestigious event.
Right, and that ensemble made up of Wamanda, Villa One, Dance Fit International, and Jido Jevanu. This is it, Barry. It's finally happening. It's here.
It is indeed, and would also like to thank Maungira Enarira, who entertained us earlier. They did a fantastic job. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Maungira Enarira.
Right, it is the 18th edition of the International Conference on AIDS and STIs in Africa. And we are just waiting for our dignitaries to arrive, and we will get our program underway.
Indeed, and this is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe for the very first time, and fitting that it is the 18th edition. When it comes to human beings, when you turn 18, you come of age. And so this conference certainly has come of age, and it has come to Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, and welcome to Zimbabwe, ladies and gentlemen.
This particular conference was supposed to be held in Tunisia. But because of the issues that happened in Tunisia, this particular conference was outbidded again, or rebidded. And Zimbabwe managed to win that bid, and it was then relocated to Zimbabwe, and we've then been able to host you. The Zimbabwe government and the Society for AIDS in Africa are the custodians of ICASA, are playing host. Now we have over 4,531 people who have registered from around the world, and among them are top scientists, top researchers in HIV and AIDS, top health workers, policymakers, people living with HIV and AIDS, community leaders and activists working in the fields of HIV and AIDS, sexually transmitted infections, as well as TB, malaria, and Ebola. This particular edition of ICASA is an excellent opportunity for Zimbabwe, as well as for Africa, to take stock of not just the achievements, but also the challenges faced in the response to HIV and AIDS, STIs, tuberculosis, malaria, as well as Ebola. We must renew our commitments, but often people think that we have gotten this far, now we've got some form of treatment, then there's complacency. And people then lose that integrity of the behavioral change that they had acquired. We are saying we must renew our commitments in terms of alertness, in terms of behavioral change, but more importantly, in terms of domestic funding. There must be more domestic funding towards HIV and AIDS programs. I'm so pleased that the African countries have increased leadership and ownership, as well as investment in supporting finance in the continent to the health response. And this is now across the board. Our leaders, like our Honorable Vice President, our own President, they've been very forthright in terms of fighting HIV and AIDS. And this is across the board. If you go to any African country, the presidents are really in the forefront of fighting HIV. And that commitment, that political will, you cannot surpass it within the Africa region. We are confident as Zimbabwe that the conference will be a success. And I wish all delegates a fruitful conference and an enjoyable stay in Zimbabwe. I thank you.
I am honored to welcome you all in behalf of the Society for AIDS in Africa, the organizers of ICASA 2015, and myself to the 18th International Conference on AIDS and Sexually Transmitted Infections in Africa. The Society, custodian of ICASA, was established in 1990 to mitigate the impact of HIV, TB, and malaria in Africa. As one of its major functions, SA organizes a scientific conference to bringing together scientists, policymakers, community leaders, funders, the private sector, and civil society, organizations, activists, grassroots practitioners, and many more to deliberating on issues of high importance and significance to HIV and sexually transmitted infections. so as to strengthening and redirecting our concrete efforts in tackling and stopping the further infection and suffering of our people in the African continent. It provides a platform, among other things, for knowledge and experience sharing, skill transfers, setting research, science, and human rights agenda, networking, and potential collaboration. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, SA has put in inexorable efforts to putting and keeping AIDS as the one of the major agenda at global, regional, and local levels. Through its evidence-based advocacy, we are now witnessed in fulfilling the MDGs, where millions and 100 million people are tested for knowing their HIV status and taking appropriate action. Millions of people in need of treatment for HIV are enrolled. Thousands and millions of orphans and vulnerable children are looked after for their rights and development needs, including but not limited to access to healthcare, food, shelter, and education, among others. And please allow me, before I ending my welcome speech, to recognize my colleague, Mr. Luc Boudia, who is the director of ICASA, for his excellent efforts and his team. So thank you very much for him. Thank you very much.
We will come on stronger, stronger than ever, oh yeah. Africa, let's conquer AIDS together as one. We will come on stronger, stronger than ever, oh yeah. Together we have done it, together we have fought, together we can reach long life and nation, free generation. Together we have done it, together we have fought, together we can reach long life and nation, free generation.
The elimination goal is now within reach, with impressive gains in a number of key countries. Namibia, South Africa, and Swaziland have achieved over 95% coverage of pregnant women living with HIV. Women who are now on ARV treatment for prevention of mother-to-child transmission. Indeed, over the last 15 years, prevention, treatment, care, and support have made a positive difference in the lives of millions of children and adults. An estimated 30 million HIV infections have been averted, and nearly 8 million people who would have died have survived. These are incredible numbers, and there are more. In 2014, 15 million people living with HIV were receiving treatment. We can therefore confidently say that progress in the response to HIV is one of the great success stories of the Millennium Development Goals. This calls for appreciation and applause to all those involved. We know the impact of AIDS on education, its social protection implications, and its repercussions in maternal and child health. We have ascertained the gender dimension of the pandemic and how it thrives on and sustains gender inequality. We know that AIDS magnifies inequities and continues to weaken vast segments of our populations. In short, an effective AIDS response underpins sustainable development on this continent.
What will be the implications for our African region? First, almost 26 million people in Africa will now be eligible for antiretroviral medicines. And to treat all of these people means doubling the coverage of HIV testing, treatment, and care in the next 5 years. It also means reaching key populations, as I have mentioned. It has enormous implications for the health systems in Africa. We were just in N'Djamena at the annual meeting of Ministers of Health, where we talked about the Ebola outbreak and the fact that the weak health systems in countries made us vulnerable to such outbreaks. I believe that investing in these health systems will not only make us robust to outbreaks and emergencies, but it will also deliver for many programs, including this ambitious HIV target. HIV services will need to be integrated across all programs, and community-based services delivery models will be critical in this new approach. People living with HIV/AIDS, we are asking you to maximize the benefits of ARV therapy through continued adherence to medication and being retained in long-term care. We appeal to civil society to continue playing your critical role in advocacy and in ensuring that access and equity in the response are respected. The private sector will need to continue their efforts to ensure that affordable treatments are available, including to people in the African region, and participate in research and development to keep improving the quality of treatments that are available. All individuals who don't know their HIV status, we are appealing on you to go and get tested. And let all of us as individuals, both infected and affected, hold ourselves collectively accountable in the fight against HIV/AIDS. I believe, as the young people said, if we are in this together, we will reach these ambitious coverage levels, we will reach the target of ending HIV/AIDS by 2030. Thank you very much.
My daughter, when I demand that you be home before dark every day, I, my daughter, do not hate you, dear. I am merely trying to protect you from the claws of tigers that love to feast in the dark. From the panting leopards stalking like ghosts, almost ready to leap at you. From the hungry lions silently eyeing you, smacking their lips, ready to pounce. From the jumpy monkeys that leap from tree to tree and from branch to branch with no particular base. I am doing what fathers should do. It is my duty to protect you from the black mambas that hate to miss a target. They all want to win your heart, dear. And remember, the python preys on its victim by changing colors. Oh, those rainbow colors. And they're beautiful. My daughter, take heed. Darkness has no eyes.
For the first time in the history of fighting a disease, 53% are coming from domestic resources. We are here at a defining moment for all of us. It is a defining moment. It is a moment, you were right, also to celebrate